Oh gosh, we can just do this in a Snapchat. It's fine. 15 seconds, we'll be done.
I like Vine better, so we're going to do 7 seconds.
So we're going to do 7. Oh my gosh.
First off, you've got a presentation coming. You have put this presentation together. Kind of tell people a little bit about what the Profit First. Give us a little bit of background on that, because this is something that has been, I want to say, life-changing. I don't think that's too strong of terminology when it comes to people just changing how they run their business.
Absolutely. Well, and you mentioned earlier you've read the book, yes?
Yes.
Or you have the book. one or the other.
No, I'm
you did read it. Okay.
I'm a very active reader.
You understand the concepts. So some of these things, if you want me to indulge on them a little bit, by all means, just spit it out and say, hey, go a little bit more on this. But Profit First in a nutshell was a way for me to get my business healthier. And that's actually the presentation that I'll be doing at Mobile Beat. So that's the first hour of the workshop that I'll be doing as well, because anybody who registers for the workshop is going to actually get some paperwork to go along with that presentation. So they're going to actually get the full deal. And it's all because I really can't condense it down into 45 minutes. I'm going to do my best to do that. I've been doing it actually since June of last year. So, you already heard I did it at Wedding MBA. I did it at ARM DJs last year as well. A few other local networking events here and there. And every time I tweak it a little bit, because I keep getting feedback as far as maybe give me a little more details on this or a little less on that, or this isn't quite clear. So that's actually one of the biggest reasons I'm so excited to present this at Mobile Beat, is because I'm even learning from others in our own industry, and not just DJs, but wedding industry in general, and events and entertainment. I'm learning more of how Profit First really, really works for us, because it is a little bit different. I mean, you read the book, and some of these businesses in the book are $50 million and up, and you start looking at those numbers, and you go, how on earth am I going to apply this to my little, $150,000 DJ business or less in many cases?
Right.
How am I applying this to my business when you're talking about these giant companies? And the beauty of it is it's all based on percentages anyway. So, and we fine tune those percentages based on the revenue that your business makes. So if you are making less than $250,000 a year, we have a certain set of numbers that work for that. If you have employees and you're making up to $500,000 or $1 million a year, we adjust those numbers accordingly so that you can operate your business, so that you can pay yourself, the business owner, an actual salary. I mean, how often do we hear, oh, I made 50 grand this year. And go, really? Well, how much did it cost you to make 50 grand? 45 grand. So you made $5,000 this year.
Exactly.
So that's really what you took home. That's what you made. That was your profit that year. So
now, Jason, before you go too far, let's talk a little bit about Profit First. What does that mean? Because if folks they haven't read the book, they might be really struggling with why does what's Profit First, and how is that different than a traditional system?
So the traditional system, the old school way of doing it, was to take your sales, you would take away your expenses, and whatever you were left over with was considered your profit. And most businesses will do this once a year at the end of the year. They go through all their numbers, whatever they sold as their revenue, whatever they had to do to actually earn that revenue, whatever's left over is what they've paid themselves in their profit. Usually that's a smaller number than it should be. That's what we found. Just across the board, it's a smaller number than it should be. There are a few businesses out there that are really taking this to the top, but most of us, we're struggling here and there. And for me, I'm a wedding business primarily, so I hit this nook in the year where nothing really happens. And for Northern California, that's around November timeframe, because it's Thanksgiving, it's the holidays. Engagements are just starting to happen, so my phone isn't quite ringing yet, and I get this little taper off in my income, and so I would have this hiccup where I would start to freak out a little bit because I just didn't have enough money, because I made it all early in the year and I spent it already.
Yep, for sure.
So Profit First allows you to actually start taking those numbers out before you start spending it. So we set up multiple bank accounts in the process. And we kind of, for those of you that are familiar with the Dave Ramsey system of envelopes, or even maybe you had a grandmother that actually worked off of envelopes, she would put money in there, she'd stash it in a cabinet, it was only used for that specific purpose. That's pretty much what we're doing with Profit First, is we're taking money out first that is profitable. And then we're taking money out that is actually just for you, the business owner, to pay your own salary. We set aside money for our tax account because I'm sure many of us have gotten that tax bill and we start to freak out a little bit because it's a lot higher than we anticipated it to be. That money is already set aside. And then our remaining funds, this is what we're going to operate our business on. So instead of expanding ourselves and just eating up all the money that we're taking in right away, we're actually starting to segment it out. And we're actually finding better ways to utilize that money, a more effective way to use that money. And that's the kind of the general concept behind Profit First, is really trimming your expenses and boosting the actual profitability of your company.
And I think one of the cool things that I took from the book is that when you change it, it takes time, and you mentioned percentages, but yet once you have that mechanism in place, that you can scale and grow with it, because it really does promote healthy growth within the business. Absolutely.
And I was actually just watching the author of Profit First today on a podcast, and I got to go pull that figure because it's not in my presentation now, but he said, and he told where this was from, I can't think of it right now, but 5% is the number that actually is what defines a business as profitable. If you're not making 5% in your business at the end of the year, you are not a profitable business. Many of us are not doing that. It's unfortunate, but many of us are not. And so Profit First finds a way to get you to that 5%. And even the more healthier businesses might be as high as 10 or 15%. And I've seen some of those businesses, and it's amazing how they're doing it. You can nudge the numbers around a little bit. They are flexible. But the idea behind it is you're taking your profit first in the business. It sort of forces you to become a little more innovative in the way that you do things. So you're going to start trimming expenses. You'll have to find ways to trim them because the money's not there for you to use anyway. So, for instance, some of the ways that I've done it, I've changed my phone system up a little bit. I've changed how I'm storing certain files. My promo-only subscription, I've actually kicked it down a little bit because I found there were a lot of things that I was just not using. You can look, and this is in the book as well, but it's across the board when you talk about marketing and anything else. The 80-20 rule, Pareto's overlap. So I actually found that only about 20% of the music I was getting from promo only, I was actually using. So I went in and I said, well, how can I get rid of that other 80% and save some money in the process? So I actually trimmed out about, $35 a month from my promo only bill just by taking a few minutes to look at it, call them up, say, hey, I'm not using this, but I am using this. What do you have for me? And all these little things you can do add up. And that's really, it's just little changes, but they add up to the end to be something much bigger.
Yeah, for sure. That idea that when I was reading that, it was almost like the idea of rethinking some of the lessons that we were being taught 5 to 10 years ago, when the idea was being taught that, you should outsource this, go and put these things on the back burner, or don't do those things and have other people do those, hire someone to do that. And as you're going and you're turning things around, now it's like, I really feel like I need to account for those dollars a lot more, and throwing them, willy-nilly to the wind, right, and then hoping that there's enough money at the end of the month to put something, in my checkbook. But that's not a bad thing, though, John. I mean, to outsource some of those things may make sense. For instance, if you're not versed in HTML, if you don't know how to code your own website, don't spend a month trying to code a website when you could pay somebody, to do it in half the time or less. Right. Now, I'm not saying you should go out and pay somebody $10,000 to do something that somebody could do for even less than that. Certainly don't go just throwing money at the wall and seeing what sticks. But there are ways to alleviate yourself. Do I need to be answering the phone all day long in my business? I probably can do that, but there are other things that I could be doing. And it's that whole working in your business versus on the business type of argument. And so bringing some of those people in allows you to be working on the growth of your business as opposed to necessarily being in the business. And that's really how businesses grow anyway, right? You're not so much in the business as much as you're on the business. And I think, again, when you're looking at the dollars and what you have, you're going to be making, I'm going to call it, more intelligent decisions on how you spend those dollars. It's probably the ultimate part about that. And there are going to be times to outsource, and there are going to be times to make this purchase, and times to evaluate and say, hey, I just don't need that anymore, and I can alleviate. Yeah. Right.
It's interesting because some of the DJs that I've actually walked this through, you end up a little flip-flopped. You're either your profit or your take-home pay as a salary, which can be combined because technically that's your income. So if you look at that number of what you're taking home as a business owner versus the expenses your business is putting out, it's usually flip-flopped. So maybe it should be about a 60% take-home pay and more of a 30% expenses. So it might be the other way around, where it's 30 take-home and 60% going out on expenses. This happens primarily with businesses that have payroll. So they have somebody they have to pay. It gets eaten up in expenses. But we start trimming those things out, and they look at me and they go, I can't run my business on this set number for expenses. There's no way I can do it. I mean, look at my history. This is what I've been doing. And you go, it's okay. We're not going to jump to that drastic number right away. We're going to start slowly incrementing out to it. So maybe it was 60%. We'll drop down to 58% or 55%, just so they start to get the feeling for it. And even in the profit account, if you're not profitable, we start you at 1% because we don't want you to feel a pain as you start doing it. We want you to realize 1% is not going to hurt you. And so you do that for a period of time. And when you get that confidence of, hey, I can do 1%, you go, well, how about 2%? Okay, I'll do 1 more percent, see what happens. And as you start sliding that scale a little bit, you realize maybe I didn't need to go and have that business lunch at the giant expensive seafood place. We could have actually just gone down to Red Robin and kind of, relaxed a little bit there. So, or even better, just go to Starbucks and have a cup of coffee instead of that $15 meal. These are things that you start looking at, and you are critical of them. You become critical of the expenses.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big things that I took out of that is that there's going to be a period of pain as you're changing your system. And it doesn't have to be done completely, as you're saying. It can be kind of a slow, gradual. But there is going to be pain with it, and there's going to be, and I hate to say this, you're going to have to actually think about those types of business things a little bit.
You do. And the nice thing about the Profit First system is if you implement it correctly, I don't want to say any other way of putting that, but if you implement it correctly, that pain is alleviated as much as possible. We try not to cause a pain point because think about, why are we scared of spiders? We're scared of spiders because when we were little, our parents told us to be scared of spiders, right? I mean, Kids are not scared of anything. They'll go up to touch a hot pan with their plate. They'll do anything, right? Yep. They're not scared of bugs. They're not scared of spiders until we tell them to be scared of these things. It's the exact same thing with your business. You're not really scared of it until somebody tells you you should be. And we find ways to get around that. So it's just and I start off my presentation talking about axioms. It's things that we believe because that's what we've been told to believe. Sure. And that's where the confusion of profit comes from. And actually the whole system in itself is built around axioms. It's built around our own habits. What is it that we're doing on a regular basis? And so I dive into habits in the presentation as well, but we leverage our existing habits to make our businesses more profitable. We're not trying to change what you already do. We're just trying to work with what you already do. Sure. That's really the big concept behind it. I mean, there's no secret. It's not a new concept by any means. I already mentioned, in personal finances, it's the Dave Ramsey system for those that are familiar with it. For those that aren't familiar with that, just go back to your grandmother when she used to put money in envelopes and stash them up there and say, this is for groceries at the end of the week. And this is for us to pay the electric bill at the end of the week. And that money's not coming out for any other reason. Yeah, very much so. Same concept.
I just want to say that's how I bought my motorcycle last year. A little bit here, a little bit there. Every time somebody tipped me with something, it went straight in there. And I did learn that from my grandmother.
See? It works. It works. But what's interesting is John mentioned that the concept in the book initially is broken into there's 2 ways mentioned in the book. It's either 4 accounts or 5 accounts. I teach it as a 5-account system, but you can have more accounts. You can set up an account. I mean, MobileBeat is a good example. We'll go with what I believe the full price of a MobileBeat pass is $300 or something like that.
Let's go with that.
So in the process of the system, you can set up when you're making these allocations. If it's once a month, if it's twice a month, take that $300 and divide it. So if it's twice a month, divided by 24, and twice a month, you're going to put money into that account. And you're going to, at the end of 12 months, have that $300 available for you to use to buy your pass. I mean, think about it. If you started it now, that pass is discounted. Well, it'll be discounted next month, but it's discounted all the way through the end of the year.
Yeah.
If you just want to look through the end of the year, take 9 months, once a month, put 9 chunks of money in there, you'll have that discounted payment. $150 probably is what it'll be through the end of the year, right? It's what it is almost every year.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw something similar to that. And again, not to dummy down this whole thing, but someone did a post that if you each day of the year you put in that many cents for that day of the year, so like January 1st you put in a penny, January 2nd, and all the way through. And when you get to December 31st, you put 365 cents in there, $3.65,
right?
Almost $700 by doing that. Each day you put that in, and that's like you said, the 1% can add up on its own.
It does. I mean, think about what 1% in your business is. We actually push in Profit First Professionals, which is an organization I'm certified with. We push people to the 10% mark. The book tells you to go to 5% because that's where the most healthy and the most elite are sitting, is 5% profit in their business.
Right.
Now, that doesn't include what they're paying the owners of the business, but it is 5% of the overall revenue in the company. We are able to get people to that 10% mark. That is our end goal usually, is to hit 10%. Some only make it to 7.5. Some will make it higher than that, up to 15, even 20% for some businesses. Really depends on the business, but
sure,
it can be done.
How does that make somebody who takes your course and goes through that and gets to that 7 or 10%?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of responses back have you gotten? Because it's got to be probably pretty positive.
Well, I just started actually pushing this course. So I've taken a few DJs through it. We're actually still in the process of getting them to the 5% mark. Some of them actually were a little lopsided, as well as they had money over in profit, but not so much what they were paying themselves. So we've started to shift those numbers a little there. But they look at the numbers, and first they kind of step back, and you can see they want to cry a little bit because they go, "That's where I want to be, but I'm still way over here, and I don't know how to get there yet." And I go, "Don't worry. We're going to get there." It's really a simple process, but I encourage people not to confuse simple with easy, because they are two different things. If it were easy, everybody would be doing it. The book wouldn't exist. I wouldn't be coaching people on this. It would just be worldwide, universal. But it is a very simple process once you understand the basics of it. And so that's really what this course is about. Is we're going to dive past the basics. We're actually going to get people to do what we call an instant assessment on their business. And this allows them to see exactly where they're dispersing this money. And you can do it with just pulling a few numbers from your balance sheet right now. If you have QuickBooks Online, you can go pull 2 or 3 numbers. You will know exactly what your profit is, what you're paying yourself, where your expenses are going. These things all shine like a bright beacon, and you go, "Oh my goodness, that's where all my money's going. I get it now."
Mm-hmm.
We show you where you should be at that point, and that's when you start to map out the plan. So we talk about your current allocations. We talk about your target allocations, where you want to go and how you can get there. That's all part of this workshop. We're also going to go through the proper way of setting up the bank accounts and the order these should be used in, because there is a sequencing to it. If you fail on the sequencing, that's where the system will start to fall apart. Expenses is always the last thing that you're putting your money towards. So you want to pay yourself first. You want to take your profit first. You want to make sure your taxes are paid for. So you're taking those out before you ever start paying the bills of your business. That's when you start your come to Jesus moment, and you go, "I only got $500 in here, but I got $750 in bills this month. What am I going to do?" Yeah. Don't pay those extra $250, or you find a way to cut out the expense so you don't have to pay that $250. That's where you start to build a more effective and efficient business.
Cool.
Very good.
Very neat stuff. And again, I definitely learned some different things with the book, but I would be very interested, because you're going to be speaking at Mobile Beat.
Yes, 10 a.m. on Thursday, which is the last day of the show, the 17th.
And then you're going to be doing your workshop also at Mobile Beat.
That same day after the show concludes, the official show concludes. So Todd Mitchell's going to come out, and he's going to talk about all kinds of awesome things as the closing. He goes on at 2. Sorry, he's done at 2. And then at 3 o'clock through 7 o'clock, we have a 4-hour, it's kind of a group coaching session combined with a workshop. Not a lot of seminar in it. That's actually why, even though it's a 4-hour, trying to think what the official term is that Ryan's having us use for this, but it's a 4-hour paid segment. However, that first hour is an extra 5th hour. That's my 10 a.m. slot. That's why I said early on, those people that are registered before the show, they're getting extra paperwork to go through. They're going to have a follow-along guide to my presentation at 10 a.m.
Nice.
That way, when we get to 3 o'clock, I'm not sitting there doing that first hour over. We do basically a 5 to 10 minute recash of what just happened. This is what I told you in the first hour. Now let's dive into this. Let's really start working on it. Pull out your numbers. Let's get to work. That's what I want to do.
So then after the workshop on Thursday, they should have kind of a blueprint. Is that a good way to describe
it's a very good way to describe it. Yeah. The blueprint of where they exist now. They're going to have that snapshot of where they are now, where they're possibly bleeding in certain areas where they can improve upon. They'll know exactly where they need to get to. And when I do a full profit assessment, which is a significantly paid process where we dig a little bit deeper, we actually pull deeper numbers from tax returns, prior years' history of things. So it's not as compact as the instant assessment, but it's a little bit of a deeper dive into it. We're going to go somewhere between those two things and get you on the right path so that you are hitting those target numbers, hopefully within about a year and a half. Nice. Depending on how close you are to them. If you're really close to it, it might be done in 6 months. Most people we found is an adjustment over 6 to 12 months. In some cases, it goes to a year and a half.
Very cool.
And there's actually a bonus even with this. Well, there's a lot of bonuses.
The Ginsu knife set?
It is. Oh my God. Don't wait. There's more. So the 10 a.m. session, everybody at Mobile Beat gets to see. The 3 to 7 session is the premium package that they get to buy into. After that, we're even going to go to dinner. So everybody that's still scratching their head after 5 hours of me talking about Profit First and getting them into Profit First, any other advanced questions are going to be able to come out over dinner. However long that dinner goes, if we shut down the restaurant, it's Vegas. That could be tomorrow morning. I don't know. I'm there. I'm available for it. It's actually a freebie bonus for everybody that's part of the actual workshop. Because I didn't want to necessarily end it at 4 hours. When I originally conceived this was a 1.5 to 2 day workshop. Unfortunately, with the way everybody else's premium content rolled in, I said, I don't want to compete with some of these guys. I mean, I actually am still deciding, am I going to Ron's? Am I going to Mitch? Am I going to Vicky? Those are all on Sunday and Monday. I got to figure that out still. I couldn't compete with that. And now we have Mike and Joe are doing theirs, which unfortunately does go on top of mine, so I can't do their PhDJ anymore. They start at 3 o'clock as well, but what can you do?
Yeah, it's a busy time. Jason, if people want to find out more information about what you're doing, you got the URL handy? I don't think I do.
I have a fancy URL with a discount attached to it. So see if we can see that right there.
Hang on a second. I'm gonna type that in.
Slide over a little bit. So it's spencerspencer.com/DJ News. And for the next 48 hours, right now, the premium content will be available for $275, which is it's actually 45% off the door rate. So if you walked up day of and said, I want to take part in this, it's $500 at the show. But right now, anybody who's tuned in for the next 48 hours can get it for $275.
And I just put that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just put that link down in the description below, gang. So when you do a refresh of this video, you'll be able to see that. It's in the description down below. Okay, 48 hours. Go.
So that's 48 hours. Hey, look, there it is. So what's going to happen after 48 hours is there will still be a discount attached to that. So if you're watching this video a week from now, if it's February 1st or something a little bit later than that, there's still going to be a discount attached to that. It's a preferred pricing for Disc Jockey News people only. So if you're watching this, use that link. You're going to get a discount on whatever the current price is. If you're jumping in on the early bird, there's still going to be money knocked off of that. If you're jumping in on the earlier bird, which is only good through the end of this week anyway, you might as well take this $275 special. If you get in on the regular pricing, it'll still come down off that. Show day of, no discounts, no promos, no preferred pricing, nothing comes off day of.
Early, you got to shop early and often. That's what they.
Absolutely. Well, we all know why. I mean, it's the same reason we tell our clients, book now, not later.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of planning and prep.
We need to prepare for it. There is a packet that goes with this. So I need to know, hey, you need this information in front of you.
Yeah. Cool. Good stuff, Jason. Good stuff. I'm looking forward to it. I've cleared my Thursday so I can come and sit, and I'm there up until about 4 o'clock on Thursday. So unfortunately, I won't be able to take the second session. but I'll be able to catch the first session. And
I might let you sneak in the first hour. Was your flight at 4:00, or are you leaving?
No,
well,
I think our flight's at about 6:30 or so, something like that. So I think we can leave about 4:00 and get there in time.
Okay. Okay, but definitely the 10 a.m. session. Everybody that's attending Mobile Beat gets to be a part of that. All you gotta do is be in the big room.
Yeah. Good stuff. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the links are in the description below. Just click refresh on this video once we're done, and they're right there, spencerspencer.com/DJ News. And you can find out more. Guys, it's time for us to wrap things up. It's almost 1:45, and it's, for those of you who know how these work, it's time for me to go read books to my children.
You're reading Profit First to him tonight, right?
No, I think we forgot. We generally read Katie in the Big Snow after a snowstorm. We forgot it yesterday. We're getting it tonight. MJ, final thoughts.
I think you should read them this book so that when they get older, they will take care of you.
There's a lot of information that I have stacked up for them to be studying, and it's kind of cool as some of the older ones are starting to actually get into it a little bit. So it's like, yay!
Actually, you know what's interesting about this, John, and I've recently added this to the opening of my presentation. So some people that have seen me present this don't know this yet, but Profit First is now taught in high schools in Maine. The Scarborough School District picked up Profit First this school year, so that they can teach it to all their seniors.
Very cool.
It is something that is starting to trickle down. It's at Stanford University, it's at Carnegie Mellon, it's at Pepperdine. It's all part of their MBA programs and their entrepreneurial programs, but now it's starting to make its way into the high school programs too. So it's not like this is so hard that you can't figure it out. Kids can do this easily, especially in the economics classes. And if you've read the book, you know in the back there's a chapter in more advanced stuff. There's a chapter on doing Profit First with families, and that's actually another book that Mike, the author of Profit First, he's writing that now as we speak, is one that goes into family matters. It doesn't replace Dave Ramsey by any means, but it's very similar in the concept. So definitely something that if you can teach your children, do it early.
Exactly. It's better. There's so many lessons that we've learned in the last probably 20 years, and I think MJ, Jason, we can all say that if we would have known then what we know.
Oh my gosh.
I wouldn't have talked.
Then I'd be hosting this show. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly. Great stuff, guys. Thank you very much. If you are watching and you have any questions, you can put those down in the comments area down below after the video here. And Jason will be popping out, I'm sure, and checking on those throughout the next couple of days. Or, Jason, if they want to ask you a question, where can they go to catch up with you?
Where can they go? Facebook.com. You can find me on Facebook. I think I'm Spencer Jason on Facebook, but also the Profit First stuff, you can find me at Spencer Speak, SPEAK, so like speaking. Same on Twitter, Spencer Speak. Certainly that link will take you over to the event page, so you'll be able to read all about the enhanced content that you can pick up.
Yeah.
And that's and I am Disc Jockey News, so you'll see my article coming out hopefully next month if I got it to you in time.
Yeah,
we didn't even get into Parkinson's law. Boy, I had a good example of that just every time that I submit an article to you. Hey, I know this was due 2 days ago, but do I have time to get it to you?
Exactly. There's that procrastination.
I think my email for Disc Jockey News is Jason Spencer at
discjockeynews.com. You bet.
Yeah.
So you guys can reach him in a variety of different ways. Once again, thank you guys for watching. Have yourself a wonderful evening. This is MJ, John with the Disc Jockey News, and Jason Spencer. Thanks for watching. Good night.